Hi everyone, welcome to OFF's Lecture 12. This is our second time meeting for this quarter, and today we're going to talk about mostly the capstone and what to expect, and some details about the capstone competition, and the half capstone requirements and deadlines. So if you haven't heard from us, Project 7 was originally due by last week, Friday night. But we extended the deadline to Monday, 6 p.m. So you have Monday to get checked off by any officers in the lab, anywhere from 10 to 6, I believe. All right. So the Ops Capstone, as we talked about last week, is a remote control car with different capabilities, and we'll go more into that later. So the first deadline actually was the Project 7 deadline, which we have on Monday, 6 p.m. now. And then April 30th is going to be the half capstone deadline. So that's the spec we're releasing today. So you have about 2 weeks to complete this part of the project. And then by the end of the month, by the end of May, we'll have you guys finish all of Capstone. So submissions will be due May 29th, that's a Saturday, I think. And then 30th will be the competition. The 30th is the Sunday before Memorial Day, if I remember correctly. So if you're interested in having a very cool capstone project and winning some prizes, make sure you're free on May 30th. And then in June, finally, once we're done with everything, you'll receive your ops certificates and deposit returns. And in terms of prizes, we have some prizes ready for you, but we have some extra money for extra prizes. So if you have any cool ideas, feel free to submit your idea here. That's a link to a form. And who knows, you might actually, we might actually consider buying it. And how cool would it be to that's basically free money. All right, so more about the capstone. Writer?
Yes. So we're going to have three categories for it. Right? So you can apply to any of these three. So the first one is going to be Autopilot. This is going to be, for right now, the half capstone project. It's not going to really apply, but you can start thinking about what you may want. It's going to be more in the second half. It's going to be how best can you get your car to avoid obstacles, drive around, follow different paths. Our second category is going to be interface. Most of you now have experience with the processing interface. So you can, take that to whatever limit you want, try and make it as cool as you want. And then for those of you that want to do more complex things, there are other ways you can do an interface to interact with your car. And then finally, for most creative, in your kit, there are a lot of components that we did not get to use throughout all the projects. And even some we have used in the past. And we just want to see the way you could integrate as many of those and use them effectively. So that is really open to be as creative as you want with it. And then like Taylor said, it's going to be due to 29th, and then we'll have the competition and awards the 30th, the next day. All right, and now we are going to introduce the half capstone, which is the Arduino. As you can, real quick though, I do want to review something from Project 7. So we kind of failed to make this part clear, and we really just want to make sure that you guys understand this part because it will be useful for the capstone. So a lot of you effectively were able to send data from your laptop to the Arduino in the form of the integer state, but you can actually send data back the other way. And the way that we imagined you guys would do this would be to do call serial.println. Now we know that usually sends the serial monitor. But in the case where you have it connected to processing, it will instead send it to processing. In processing, we have this function called serial events. This runs in the background, but we can essentially customize it to do what we want. So in processing, whenever serial event is called, it saves the string that you sent from Arduino and saves it as the local variable status. So you can incorporate something similar into the Capstone project if you'd like. Make that work. It will make things easier, I think. All right, now a brief summary of what the actual project is. So as you can imagine, you guys are going to be making a car with your Arduino. It's going to have two motors. You guys should have received that with your parts. And you're going to be controlling it wirelessly with the HC05. Eventually, and this will come in the second half, you're going to incorporate some sensors that will help it detect walls or obstacles. Now, this project is going to have a lot of wire complexity to it. You have a 16-pin IC and the HC05. So I believe that's 20 pins in total. So you're going to have a lot of wires on your breadboard. It's very important to keep track of what's what. So it's going to be in your best interest to try and stay as organized as possible on this one. Also, you do only have one of the HC05 and only one of the H-bridge, which is the IC. So be very careful. Do not short anything or break anything. Otherwise, it'll be up to you to order a new part to replace it.
Yeah, there will be many wires, and when we say many, we mean many. We're usually able to minimize wires by having you guys order PCBs, but this year we're not able to do that. So keep your wires color coded if possible. This will help debug be less painful. All right. So the L293D is the IC we're going to use to drive your motors. And what it is basically two H-bridges. H-bridges are just circuits that are useful for driving motors around. But we don't need to worry about it because L293D lets us use them just from the pins we have. All right, so each side of these pins roughly correspond to like one motor. So you have 1 and 2 motors here, except the VCC. All right, so in terms of pins, we have the power pins over here. So 4, 5, 12, 13 are ground. And then VCC1, this one you connect to 5 volts on your Arduino. And this one you connect to VIN or on your Arduino. And all of this, I'm going to talk about for the next couple of slides, also in your specs. So don't worry about trying to remember everything. And output pins are these pins. And these are basically going to be connected to your motors. Right? And then the way you can control the direction is by outputting digital voltages to these 4 pins. So here's kind of the logic table for which direction your motor is going to run in for different logics on your digital pin. So if in 1 is low, in 2 is high, it'll be, it'll be off. And then if in 1 is high and 2 is low, your motor will go forward. But that forward it just depends on the orientation of your motor. So you'll have to adjust and see which way it turns. So that's the logic table. And then to control the speed, you connect these enable pins to any of your PWM pins. And that's how we're going to determine how fast your motor runs. So that was a quick overview of how pins work in general. Any questions now? If you have any questions that you can't think of now, but they arise later, as always, feel free to put them anywhere that we might be able to see, like Discord, Piazza, Messenger, anywhere. Right.
Well, really quick, I think there was a small mistake here. We don't have, it should be low for the first one, and that one should be coast. I think there's just
I
a
think
mistake
so.
in copying it. Yeah. But coasting isn't super relevant anyways. We're going to mainly be concerned with these, the bottom 3 for your car's performance.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right. And that, oh,
There you go.
sorry, go ahead, Taylor. My bad.
All right. Okay, so this part of the capstone is due Friday, April 30th at 6 p.m. Try to get it done by 6 p.m. so we can check you off. If you're messaging us after 6 p.m., we may or may not reply. It's up to you to get checked off. And to get checked off, as per usual, you can show any of the officers your wheels going forward and backward by your button presses and answer our prepared questions. And just for reminders, admin board election is tomorrow, Monday, 6:30 p.m. I believe you should have registered to vote. It's probably too late to vote. Register if you haven't already, but do come and listen to what our candidates have to say. And project apps are due Saturday, 11:59 p.m., but I strongly recommend that you apply ASAP so that you don't forget about applying. A small note about applying, it'll ask for a link to your slides, but your slides don't have to be done. So as long as you have a link and some responses for the most basic questions that we have on the application, just submit your application so that you don't forget about it. And then next week, we're not going to have a lecture and we're probably not going to have a work session either. So it'll just be Friday ops hours and our lab hours for next week. Anything to add, Ryder?
Nope. This project, it shouldn't be too difficult if you guys paid attention to the last project. Just don't put it off to the last minute. You should be okay.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. Bye, those in recording.